Hello and welcome. Today, we dive into a powerful love, heartbreak, and redemption story. What would you choose, your family's legacy or the love of your life? Stay with us as we uncover the dramatic twists in the Morrison family's journey. You won't want to miss this. Patricia Morrison sat in the grand living room of her Kingston estate, her eyes fixed on the portrait of her late husband, Carlton Morrison. The faint scent of jasmine from the gardens wafted through the partially open windows, mingling with the aroma of freshly polished mahogany furniture. The soft ticking of a gilded grandfather clock broke the stillness, but Patricia's thoughts were louder. Her fingers gripped the armrest of the velvet chair as waves of nostalgia and frustration battled within her. Carlton's steady gaze from the portrait seemed to ask her silently, "Are you doing the right thing?" She ruled the family with precision, but for the first time, she felt control slipping through her fingers. Carlton's will had left her in charge of the family business, Morrison Holdings, until their only son, Malcolm, married. Malcolm, now 33, was everything Patricia had worked to mold him into: intelligent, ambitious, and charismatic. However, his refusal to marry a suitable woman frustrated her. For Patricia, the legacy of the Morrison name depended on a wife who came from wealth, carried herself with grace, and respected the family's traditions. One evening, Patricia's younger daughter, Serena, strolled into the room with a casual air. "Mama, Malcolm's home, and he's brought someone," she said, her voice indifferent but her eyes curious. Patricia rose, smoothing her emerald green dress. "Let's meet her," she said calmly, though her mind was already racing. Descending the grand staircase, Patricia's sharp gaze landed on Malcolm, who stood confidently in the living room. Beside him was a young woman with kind eyes and a warm smile. She wore a simple but elegant dress, her natural beauty and calm demeanor setting her apart. Malcolm's hand rested gently on the woman's back, a gesture that didn't escape Patricia's notice. "Mother," Malcolm began, stepping forward, "this is Liana Clark. We've been seeing each other for some time, and I wanted you to meet her." Liana stepped forward, her voice steady but kind. "It's a pleasure to meet you, Mrs. Morrison." She extended her hand, her movements measured and confident. Patricia's practiced smile froze momentarily. "Clark," she repeated internally, her mind already calculating. "Middle class," she concluded. Out loud she said, "Welcome, Liana. Please sit." Over tea, Patricia's questions were polite but probing. "What does your father do, my dear?" she asked with a faint smile. "He's retired now." "He was a teacher," Liana replied, meeting Patricia's gaze steadily. "My mother runs a small bakery in Montego Bay." Patricia's grip on her teacup tightened. "And you? What do you do?" "I'm a pediatrician," Liana said. "I specialize in neonatal care." Patricia's tone turned condescending. "How admirable," she said, her smile brittle. Inside, she was fuming. This woman was not Morrison material. She'd expected to hear banker or investor, not pediatrician. Liana returned to her small but cozy apartment later that evening. A stack of medical journals sat on her coffee table, and framed photos of her parents adorned the walls. Her mother had called earlier, thrilled that Liana had met the Morrisons, but Liana hadn't had the heart to share the coldness she'd felt from Patricia. Sitting down, Liana opened her journal to chart her patient's progress, but found herself staring at her phone instead. She'd fallen in love with Malcolm's kindness and ambition, but the weight of his mother's expectations loomed over her. Later that evening, Patricia summoned Malcolm to her study. The room's walls were lined with bookshelves, and the scent of aged leather and polished wood filled the air. A decanter of rum and 2 glasses sat untouched on the desk, signaling that Patricia was ready for a serious conversation. "She's not the one," Patricia declared as soon as he entered. Malcolm's fists clenched. "Mother, Liana is intelligent, kind, and everything I've ever wanted. Why can't you see that? Because she's not suitable, Patricia snapped. She doesn't understand the weight of our name. Think of the headlines, Malcolm. Think of your father's legacy. This isn't about headlines, Mama. It's about my life, Malcolm said firmly. Patricia's voice softened, but her resolve didn't waver. One day you'll understand, she said, her tone laced with a quiet authority that left no room for argument. She paused, placing her hand over her heart dramatically. Do you know the stress this is causing me? My health can't take much more of this. The tension between mother and son grew, and Patricia took drastic measures. Claiming she was gravely ill, she convinced Malcolm that the stress of his relationship with Liana was worsening her condition. Malcolm wrestled with the decision for days, caught between his deep love for Liana and the weight of his mother's expectations. Sleepless nights left him drained, his mind replaying Patricia's pleas and Liana's laughter. When he finally broke things off, his voice trembled. The anguish in his eyes mirrored the heartbreak in hers as he said, Liana, I can't do this. My mother's health, it's too fragile. Liana's voice broke. You're leaving me because of your mother? After everything? I have no choice, Malcolm said, his voice cracking. I can't lose her too. Liana's heart shattered. Then go, but don't come back. Her voice carried an edge of finality that lingered in the air long after she walked away. Patricia quickly introduced Malcolm to Simone Campbell, the daughter of a wealthy politician. Simone was charming, poised, and everything Patricia thought Liana wasn't. Reluctantly, Malcolm proposed to Simone. The wedding was a grand affair, with chandeliers casting a golden glow over the room and tables adorned with white lilies. Guests mingled in designer attire, but Malcolm's heart was heavy. As Simone settled into her role as Mrs. Morrison, her true nature emerged. She was ambitious and manipulative, seeking control over the family business. With the help of corrupt lawyer Barrington Reed, she began consolidating power. Months later, Malcolm discovered that Simone had tricked him into signing documents that gave her control over Morrison Holdings. She seized the family's accounts, the estate, and their assets. The Morrisons were left with nothing. Homeless and defeated, the Morrisons sought refuge with Liana's family. Patricia's usual air of authority was replaced by a heavy silence, her eyes avoiding everyone's gaze as they entered the modest but welcoming Clark home. Liana's mother greeted them with a warm hug and soft words of comfort, offering plates of steaming food and cups of fragrant tea. Malcolm, though grateful, felt a deep shame that tightened his chest as he settled onto a worn but comfortable sofa. Serena's usually quick wit was subdued, her hands fidgeting nervously. Liana and her father, Mr. Clark, a retired lawyer, helped the Morrisons uncover Simone's lies. They discovered that Simone had a secret marriage in St. Anne, making her union with Malcolm illegal. They also unearthed a plot by Simone and Barrington to steal the Morrison fortune. Armed with evidence, the Morrisons took Simone to court. The courtroom buzzed with tension as the judge entered, his stern expression silencing the murmurs. Liana's father presented the evidence with precision, detailing Simone's deceit and Barrington's involvement. Gasps echoed through the room when the marriage certificate from St. Anne was revealed, proving Simone's fraudulent claims. Simone's lawyer scrambled to defend her, but the judge remained unmoved, his sharp gaze piercing through the lies. As the gavel struck, the room erupted with whispers. The verdict was clear. The marriage annulled, Simone's claims nullified, and both conspirators sentenced for fraud. Relief washed over the Morrisons as justice was served. Malcolm and Liana's wedding was a celebration of love and second chances. The ceremony blended modern elegance with Jamaican traditions, held beneath a canopy of vibrant tropical flowers. Steel drums played softly in the background, their melodic rhythm setting a joyous tone. Liana walked down the aisle adorned in an ivory gown with delicate lace, carrying a bouquet of hibiscus and orchids. Guests savored traditional Jamaican dishes, including ackee, saltfish, and tender jerk chicken served at the reception. Together, they rebuilt Morrison Holdings, stronger and more united than ever. True legacy isn't about wealth or power. It's about the bonds we build, the love we nurture, and the trust we uphold. What would you do if you were in Liana's position? Could you forgive Patricia and Malcolm? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more captivating stories.